Have you ever noticed how sometimes, like, your emotions are just sort of there?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't really put your finger on why you're feeling a certain way or what even made it happen in the first place.
Yeah.
It's such a, like, human thing, just feeling like we're being swept along by these, like, waves of emotion we don't always understand.
It is, yeah. Like there's this emotional soundtrack kind of playing in the background all the time, but we don't really know like who's composing it or what instruments they're using.
Totally. So, on the deep dive today, we're going to dive into a really effective way to start to understand that soundtrack and, like, where it's coming from.
Okay.
Mood journaling.
Right.
It's basically like keeping this detailed logbook of your feelings as you go through life.
I like that. A logbook. It's not just like a regular diary entry about your day.
Right.
It's really focused on like all the little details of what you're feeling, what triggered those emotions, how you reacted to them, even what you did to like cope with them.
Yeah.
The Calm blog puts it well. It's like this dedicated record of your emotions over time, helping you map out your inner emotional world, so to speak.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, our goal is to figure out why taking the time to actually keep a mood journal can be such a powerful tool for understanding our emotions.
It's a good question.
Yeah, we looked at a bunch of different sources, articles from Calm blog, Healthline, Practice Better, the Day 1 blog, a research study that looked at how people use mood tracking apps, and even OatMind, which is a pretty cool note-taking app.
Oh, cool.
So let's start with this. Like, why is it so beneficial to actually put our feelings into words? Why does that help us?
Well, first off, mood journaling really helps you become more self-aware.
Yeah.
When you get into the habit of noting your emotions and like connecting them with the context of your day, you start to develop a much deeper understanding of yourself and your tendencies.
That's kind of like bringing all those unconscious thoughts and feelings into the conscious realm, right?
Exactly.
The Day 1 blog mentioned that, like, when you track your moods like this, you can actually start to spot patterns in your thoughts and behaviors that you might not even be aware of otherwise.
Yeah. And Healthline also makes a really practical point. Sometimes just the act of like writing down your feelings and what you're going through can make things so much clearer.
Oh, interesting.
It's like, when you have a tangled up thread, writing it down is like laying that thread out straight so you can see exactly where the knots are.
Wow, it's a really good analogy.
Thanks.
And this isn't just theory. This research study we looked at, called Understanding People's Use of and Perspectives on Mood Tracking Apps, found that people who used mood tracking apps reported feeling way more self-aware and better at reflecting on their past experiences.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And there's this one participant in this study, they call them P1, who said that tracking their mood and meditating helped them see patterns in their emotions, especially during a super stressful time in high school.
It's amazing how such a simple practice, like just observing yourself through journaling, can lead to such profound insights. It changes your whole relationship with your emotions.
Yeah, I can see that. So we've talked about how mood journaling can help us figure out what we're feeling, but how does it actually help us manage those feelings?
Right.
Like, how does awareness actually translate into action?
Well, that's where emotional regulation comes in. When you start to recognize your emotional triggers and how you usually react to them through mood journaling, you get this like superpower to actually regulate those emotions.
Oh, okay.
The Calm blog points out that you can even anticipate situations that might like bring you down.
So it's like having an emotional early warning system.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this situation might get a little rough. I need to adjust my course a little bit.
Totally. You can be much more intentional about how you respond to things and choose healthier approaches instead of just reacting on autopilot.
I like that, being intentional.
And Healthline mentioned something interesting. As you start to see those patterns, you can actually work on minimizing or avoiding certain triggers altogether, or at least choosing a better way to respond when they do pop up.
Right. So, like, if you realize a certain person always stresses you out, you can figure out ways to better handle those interactions.
Precisely.
And this research study also found that participant P10 discovered that writing down their feelings in the moment and then looking back at it later gave them this whole new perspective.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like taking a step back and seeing things from a more objective angle.
Yeah.
That distance really helps you analyze your emotions without being like completely consumed by them. And this naturally leads to better problem solving, which is another huge benefit of mood journaling.
So if we can identify patterns, how does that actually help us come up with solutions? Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say your mood journal consistently shows that you feel stressed after talking to a certain person. That pattern is a big red flag that you might need to change how you interact with that person.
So the journal becomes like this roadmap, leading us towards areas we can improve.
Exactly.
And the Calm blog mentions that being proactive about our emotions like this can make a big difference in our overall quality of life.
It's about taking control instead of feeling like you're just along for the ride.
I like that, taking control. And this idea of being proactive with our emotions seems really important for our mental health too.
Totally.
The Calm blog actually suggests that just getting those feelings out, whether it's on paper or digitally, can be therapeutic, especially if you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or even just those everyday mood swings.
And understanding those patterns you find can really help make therapy more effective. A lot of therapists actually encourage their clients to keep a mood journal for this very reason.
Yeah, that makes sense. It gives them more information to work with, right?
Exactly. And sometimes the research suggests that just the act of writing down those intense emotions can give you some immediate relief, like you're releasing some of that built-up pressure.
It seems like mood journaling isn't just about dealing with the bad stuff, though. It's also about, growing as a person.
You got it. Your mood journal becomes a record of your emotional journey, showing how much you've grown and how resilient you are. The Calm blog says that reading your old entries can remind you of how far you've come and help you remember the coping strategies that worked for you.
It's like a reminder that you've gotten through tough times before, so you can do it again.
Exactly.
And participant P12 from the research study said that tracking their actions and environment help them identify and eliminate negative influences in their life.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's all about using the data you collect to make positive changes.
So it's about moving from reacting to things to actively shaping our well-being.
That's the goal.
Okay. So to do that, we need to be able to actually identify our triggers and those recurring patterns.
Right. Practice Better points out that keeping a daily mood log can help you spot those triggers, notice patterns, see your progress, and even figure out where you might be slipping up.
It's like a constant feedback loop.
And if you're in therapy, it can be a really good way to keep track of your thoughts and feelings between sessions. It helps you stay in that self-aware mode.
The people in the research study found this really helpful too. They said they could identify triggers related to specific people, events, and even their physical health.
Interesting.
Yeah. P11, for example, realized that their stress and unhappiness often happened around the same time as their period.
That's a huge insight. It helps you understand your own body and emotions so much better.
Yeah, totally. And on top of all that, mood journals can be super helpful for talking to healthcare professionals.
Absolutely. It's so much easier to have a productive conversation when you have a clear record to share.
Makes total sense.
Practice Better mentions that having easy access to your mood journal entries can lead to more targeted and effective conversations about your care.
So your doctor can get a better understanding of what you're going through on a day-to-day basis and what you've already tried to cope.
Exactly. And the research study we talked about earlier had some great examples of this.
Oh, cool.
One participant, P20, was actually using a mood tracking app because their psychiatrist recommended it.
Wow. And I remember P11, who figured out the PMS connection, also used their app data to have more meaningful conversations with their mom about how they were feeling.
It's really a bridge between your own personal experience and more objective data, helping everyone involved understand what's going on. So now you might be thinking, okay, this is all great, but how do I actually make it work? Let's talk about some practical ways to keep a mood journal effectively.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. What's the best way to do it?
Well, first, you got to choose a format that works for you. The Calm blog talks about a few different options. There are traditional paper journals if you like writing by hand or just having a physical copy. Then you have digital tools, like apps on your phone or computer, which are super convenient and often come with features like reminders and analytics.
Which can be a lifesaver.
Absolutely. I mean, I rely on reminders for pretty much everything.
Me too.
There are also printable mood trackers, which can be really helpful if you're a visual person or just want a structured template to follow. And there are interactive journals, which are online platforms or apps that give you specific prompts or questions to think about.
Oh, those sound interesting.
Yeah, they can be really insightful. And Healthline points out that you don't need a fancy, specialized journal. Even a plain old notebook can work just fine. The most important thing is to find a format that you'll actually stick with.
Okay, so once you have a format, what are the key things to track? Like, what should I be writing down?
Well, the most important thing is to capture your emotional state in detail. Both the Calm blog and Healthline emphasize using a variety of words to describe how you feel, going beyond just happy or sad.
Yeah, I get that. So like instead of just saying happy, you could say content or joyful or even excited.
Exactly. The more specific you are, the more meaningful those patterns you uncover will be.
Right.
You also want to note any specific events or interactions that you think might have triggered a certain mood.
Okay, so like what happened right before I started feeling this way?
Yep. And the Calm blog suggests tracking the things you did to try to improve your mood too.
Interesting. So it's not just about the feeling itself, it's also about how I respond to it.
Exactly. And there are some other things you can track too if you want, like the time of day, the weather, where you are, who you're with, or even the stage of your menstrual cycle if that's relevant to you. Healthline actually recommends using columns to track different aspects of your mood.
Oh wow, that's getting pretty detailed.
Yeah, it's a really comprehensive system, but you don't have to go that in depth if you don't want to.
Gotcha.
The most important thing is to find a system that works for you and stick with it.
Okay, consistency is key, like with any good habit.
Exactly.
But how do you actually make mood journaling a regular part of your routine? Like when's the best time to do it?
The Calm blog stresses the importance of setting aside a specific time each day or week to work on your journal. This helps you make it a habit. A lot of people find that the end of the day is a good time to reflect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the best time is really whatever works for you and your schedule.
And it's not just about writing it down.
No.
You also need to go back and look at what you've written.
Exactly.
For how often should we be reviewing our entries?
The Calm blog recommends doing it regularly, like maybe weekly, monthly, or even every few months.
Okay.
The important thing is to look for those recurring patterns. What triggers negative emotions for you? What coping strategies actually work? Once you understand these patterns, you can start to manage your emotions more effectively and come up with better coping strategies for the future.
So it's a constant cycle of observing, documenting, and analyzing.
Pretty much.
But like any new practice, there are probably some challenges and things to keep in mind.
You're right.
What are some things we should watch out for?
Well, one thing that came up in the research was how accurately those mood logs actually reflect what's going on. Our moods can change a lot throughout the day, and if you're only recording it once, you might miss some important details.
It's like taking a snapshot, right? Might not capture the whole picture.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the challenge of actually understanding all that data you collect. Some people might find it hard to analyze their entries and figure out what it all means without some guidance or summaries.
It's one thing to gather the information, it's another thing to actually make sense of it.
For sure. And then, of course, there's the fact that it takes effort to keep track of everything. Daily journaling is ideal, but it can feel like a chore. So it's important to find a balance between detail and ease of use if you want to keep it up long term.
Yeah, I could see that. Especially on those days when you're feeling down, the last thing you want to do is write about it.
Right. And that brings up another interesting point from the research. A lot of people tend to avoid documenting those negative emotions.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that can actually skew the data and make it harder to spot important patterns.
So even when it's tough, we got to try to be as honest and complete as possible in our entries.
Absolutely.
Okay, so earlier we talked about the convenience of digital tools.
Right.
What about digital mood journaling? And how do apps like OatMind fit into this?
Digital tools are great because they're so convenient and have all these helpful features like reminders and trend analysis. But the Calm blog reminds us that both digital and paper journals can be effective.
It really depends on what you prefer, right?
Absolutely. Some people might find that they're more likely to stick with a digital app, while others might prefer the feeling of pen and paper.
And what about OatMind?
So OatMind is this minimalist note-taking app that's in beta right now.
Okay.
And it actually has a built-in mood journaling feature. Yeah, their goal is to help people understand their emotions and improve their overall well-being.
I like that.
And their philosophy, according to their website, is all about simplicity, mental health, productivity, privacy, and relaxation. So having a mood journal feature fits right in with that focus on mental well-being.
It seems like they're trying to integrate mood tracking into a broader approach to personal organization and mental wellness.
Exactly.
That's-
They recognize that more and more people are using digital tools for self-care, and they're offering a simple, uncluttered way to do it.
So to sum it all up, it seems like mood journaling, whether you do it in a notebook or on an app, is a really valuable practice for anyone who wants to understand their emotions better.
It's a great way to identify those recurring patterns, figure out your triggers, and ultimately feel more in control of your emotional life.
So if you're listening to this right now, we encourage you to give mood journaling a try. Whether you go old school with pen and paper or use a fancy app, the potential for self-discovery is huge.
That brings up an interesting question. Now that you know about all these benefits, what's one small step you can take today to become more aware of your own emotional landscape? Maybe you could take a minute right now to think about how you're feeling and what might have led to that feeling.
That's a great idea. Take a few minutes for yourself, tune into how you're feeling, and see what you discover.
You might be surprised by what you learn.